Welcome to the Sports Bash pre-show presented by Chitty's Cheesesteaks. They have been voted best cheesesteak on Long Island for 3 years in a row, and they've been proudly serving the island since 2014. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz, joined by Vinny Tickets. Coming up on the show, we're going to be joined by former Twins and Mets pitcher Frank Viola, now the pitching coach of the Atlantic League's High Point Rockers, who are in town to play the Long Island Ducks this week. We'll also check out the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and we'll have this day in sports history. And I say good morning, Vinny Tickets.
Good morning, Peter.
Not a good morning if you're a Jets fan, obviously, and we'll get to it on the Flash and also later on in the show. But just to kind of sum it up before I get to the Flash, a no-show by the Jets defense. Jets can't run the ball effectively last night. Just a very disappointing start to the season.
Well, the good news is we still have 16 games left.
That's right. And the hardest game was the first game. The most difficult game on the schedule was the first one. At least that's what everybody is saying. You don't know what's going to happen with the schedule the rest of the way, but it's just one game.
It is. And we did speak about a barometer. It would be a great way to test the team and their abilities. And I will say this. They did lose the game. And as far as the barometer test, that litmus test that we spoke about yesterday, I will say they failed the barometer test or the litmus test.
Especially on the defensive side of the ball when you give up scoring drives on, 7 or 8 straight drives after you took a 7-3 lead, and then you can't stop San Francisco without Christian McCaffrey. You got a backup running back in there, and he gashed them all night. And, you know, I thought Aaron Rodgers, the biggest takeaway out of the game for me is Aaron Rodgers looked like, at times a premier quarterback. He could still make the throws.
The key being at times there, though.
At times, not all. But you know what? On that first drive, he throws the ball to Lazard. That drive can continue. Lazard drops the ball. And the problem with where people criticize Rodgers last night is that he never was able to get into a rhythm because how many 3-and-outs did they have? The Jets defense couldn't get off the field. So I look at it as a takeaway. He got through the game. He was able to throw, make some passes, and you can see that he still has it. And he was not the reason they lost that game last night. It was the preparation, it was the defense, and still a lot of question marks. But now the Jets have to turn the page and move ahead and get ready for Tennessee. It's time for the Sports Bash Flash. It's brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. The Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. As I mentioned, Jets open up with a 32-19 loss to the 49ers in Santa Clara. Aaron Rodgers, 167 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. And this is the only stat you need to know about. The Jets give up 180 rushing yards. That's not an elite premier defense when you give up 180 rushing yards mainly to the backup running back.
Yeah, listen. The game of football is very simple. Rushing and defense. Those are the two things you need. And if you can't stop the run, you will not win in the NFL. If you can't stop the run, it eats up the clock, it wears down your defense, and it makes them vulnerable. And it also, remember, the run opens up the pass. So if you can't stop the run, you will not win in the NFL.
No question. Baseball, Yankees beat the Royals 10-4. Orioles lost. Yankees up by a game and a half in the AL East. The Mets beat the Blue Jays 3-2. The Braves lost, so the Mets now lead the Braves by a game for the third National League wildcard spot. Some sad news from baseball yesterday. Mets Hall of Famer Ed Kranepool passed away on Sunday at the age of 79, suffered from cardiac arrest in Boca Raton, Florida, played for the Mets from 1962 to 1979, and a member of the 1969 Miracle Mets. And also yesterday, although not directly related to sports, but certainly sports fans who love the movie Field of Dreams are obviously saddened this morning.
People will come, Ray.
You're broke, Ray. You sell now or you lose everything.
The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball. America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again. But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good. could be again. Oh, people will come, Ray. People will most definitely come.
Legendary actor James Earl Jones passed away at the age of 93, known for his unbelievable voice, and was the voice of Darth Vader in Star Wars, starred in dozens of films, including Field of Dreams. So deepest condolences to the family and friends of James Earl Jones.
Rest easy, James.
I mean, just an incredible, incredible voice, and obviously saddened to see him go. And I mean, Kranepool as well, legendary Mets player and a part of the 69 Mets. It's been a rough year for the Mets family, losing number of people. Buddy Harrelson passed away, and now Ed Kranepool. So obviously it's been a rough year for the Mets. We're going to be joined by a former Met coming up in just a couple of minutes. Frank Viola, who's now the pitching coach of the High Point Rockers of the Atlantic League, is going to join us in a few minutes as the Rockers are in town to take on the Long Island Ducks. And he went to a high school here on Long Island. I'm trying to remember. What was it? Oh, East Meadow.
Oh,
the East Meadow High School Jets. We're going to talk to Frank Viola in just a couple of moments. We're coming back with Sports Bash right after this.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Welcome to Sports Bash, everyone. It's presented by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. Mention Sports Bash, get a free dessert with your meal. By the offices of Dr. Anthony Ippolito at Chiropractic Care Plus, located at 1 John Street in Babylon. Chiropractic Care Plus is the only choice when searching for Long Island chiropractors. Give Dr. Ippolito a call at 631-669-6221. By Bearcat Billing Service, your trusted partner in medical billing. Experience the Bearcat way, personal, professional, and tailored to your needs. Give Gary a call at 516-796-2400 and tell him Sports Bash sent you by the Marty Lyons Foundation, the official charity of Sports Bash Media. For more information, go to martylyonsfoundation.org, and by Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more information, call them at 516-509-8277. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Schwartz. That's Vinny Tickets, or he's Vinny Tickets. You're not that, you're he.
Yes.
He's Vinny Tickets. Later in the show, we'll check out the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and we'll have this day in sports history. We do expect to hear from former Mets and Twins pitcher Frank Viola, who is scheduled to call in and join us here on the show. But in the meantime, we will take your phone calls at 631-451-1039. We can talk about the disaster that was the Jets season opener last night in San Francisco. We can talk about better news, and that was what the Yankees and the Mets did last night, improving their points in the standings. But we start like we did for those who joined us on Facebook and YouTube for the pre-show. We talk about the Jets, and obviously there was so much hype and so much excitement about the season getting underway, opening the season on a Monday night in San Francisco, and basically the Jets, for the most part, top to bottom, laid an egg last night in Santa Clara.
They sure did. The only good part about last night was I got to see three of my friends that I grew up with, and I ate some wings, which I usually wouldn't eat on a Monday, but that's my only takeaway.
We had wings pregame last night, too.
You did? You made them?
No. We brought them in.
Okay. Where'd you get them from?
I don't remember. Where did we get? Wingstop.
Oh, Wingstop. How are their wings?
They're really good. Yeah,
I'm going to give a shout out to our waitress was phenomenal last night.
Oh, yeah?
We went to a local place, Farrell's,
Yeah.
in West Islip, and I tell you, their wings were great. They really were great.
Awesome. Nothing like wings before during a football game. I mean, absolutely mandatory. So it was top to bottom, obviously was a hard performance. And as I mentioned before, defensively, defensively was the biggest problem that I saw last night. I think offensively, you saw Aaron Rodgers do some things, and luckily he made it past 4 plays. and had not been a blowout, he certainly would have finished the game, but they brought Tyrod Taylor in at the end to finish off. But I think the good news is that Aaron Rodgers looked okay. He was able to get around the field, move around, make some plays. I'm not worried about that now. I think that was the biggest thing I was looking for. But what really was a big bone of contention for me was how poorly the defense played last night, up and down the lineup. And don't give me this nonsense, well, they should give Hassan Reddick whatever he wants. The absence of Hassan Reddick in last night's game had nothing to do with the way that the Jets defense was gashed last night, because they gave up 180 yards rushing. That's not on Hassan Reddick. He's a pass rusher. So where was that amazing defense that could stop the run last night? We didn't see it.
Non-existent. Absolutely non-existent. And I will tell you that, as we move along, we have a couple of games that are a little on the easier side, right? Wouldn't you say?
I would say
Titans, Patriots,
well,
Broncos.
The next 4 or 5 games, I mean, until they play Buffalo, and you still have to consider Buffalo obviously is still, they had a huge first game, and they are the class of the AFC East until proven otherwise. But until they play Buffalo, which I think is on a Monday night, October 16th, somewhere around there, the Jets' schedule is very, very light going forward here. And these are games that the Jets really should be able to stockpile in the win column. But again, until you can do that, until you can show that the defense is back to where it was last year and where we think it's going to go and where we think this offense could go, I still think, again, from an offensive standpoint, watching that game last night, I know Lazard caught 2 touchdowns. One was in garbage time at the end, but he also drops that pass on third down on the first drive of the game. You don't know how that drive turns out. If he catches that ball, the Jets move the sticks, they could proceed to move down the field, and they're up 7-0 instead of being down 3-0 at some point. So I still think the Jets have to come up with that number 2 wide receiver, and I wonder if there's still a chance that they do make that trade with the Raiders and get Davante Adams.
Yeah, they definitely need help there. And you have to look at that game last night as a failure. And, going into the next 5 games, we have to go 4-1. We have to be 4-1. That's the only way that this season remains promising for us. And you know what? Whoever predicted 16-1, you're right so far with the 1. So
yeah.
let's get to the 16 now.
Who said 16-1? Because
Yeah.
even me, as optimistic as I was before the season, I said 13-4.
You did.
So, okay, so that's 1 out.
I think that's super aggressive.
13-4?
Yeah, I think that's really aggressive. I mean, 16-1 I think is ridiculous. I think 13-4 is, it's a bit of a pipe dream.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
let's see. A man could dream.
Dreams come true.
Well, we'll see. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't.
Yes.
As we wait for Frank Viola to call in, and we certainly hope he does call in, we'll take care of some business that we were going to do later on in the show. Let's look at the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, and it's obviously relative to the Giants and the Jets season opening games. The Sports Bash Media poll question of the day, we post a new poll question every weekday on the Sports Bash Media X/Twitter page. We'll look back at yesterday's question, and yesterday's question was, should the Giants make a change at starting quarterback? Daniel Jones was absolutely horrible in the Sunday season opener. And as we talked about on the show yesterday, obviously felt horrible for him as he walked out of MetLife Stadium and got cascaded with chants and boos and negative things by the Giant fans who were waiting for him. So we posed that question, should they make a change? And overwhelmingly, 75% said yes, 25% said no. And I'm not surprised that Giant fans were that unhappy after that first game.
Yeah, it was tough to watch. They were never in the game. They never showed. I mean, the Jets last night weren't quite as bad, but unfortunately, I had to watch the game with a diehard. I had 2 Jet fans with me, so we had 3 Jet fans and 1 Giant fan. I don't know. Do you know Frank?
Yeah, I know Frank.
Yeah. So, actually, Frank did some of our video work at one point.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So Frank's a diehard Giant fan, thanks to his dad, Sonny Dima. May he rest in peace. But Frank was, he was optimistic about the Giants last night. I said, why would you be optimistic?
And this is after Sunday's game.
After Sunday's game.
What could he have possibly seen in Sunday's game that would make him optimistic?
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but he said, well, it's early. He says, I'm a believer. Go Big Blue. So But I really didn't have a leg to stand on. I was hoping to get some needles in last night during the game, but he came back at me pretty hard.
No, there was nothing for us to needle anybody
No,
about last night when it came to the Jets. On the subject of the Jets, here's today's Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. And this is directed to all Jet fans out there. How are you feeling after the season opening loss to the 49ers? So here's what you have to do. Go to the Sports Bash Media poll question on our Sports Bash Media X/Twitter, and here are your three choices. Not worried, it's one game, a bit concerned, or same old Jets. Where do you lie in that right now?
I'm sorry, Peter. I have to say it.
Are you going to say it?
Same old Jets.
See, I'm going to go again. I'm going to be optimistic until I'm proven otherwise. I'm going to go not worried. It's one game. Wiz, where would you be if you were a Jets fan? You're a Falcons fan, but where would you be?
Somewhere in the middle. Just like it's the first game of
well,
the
that's
season.
not in the middle was not a choice. The choices were not worried. It's one game. A bit concerned.
He's
or same old Jets.
I would definitely be concerned. But I know there's also 16 more games of the regular season. As for me, in case you're curious, for the Falcons, I think I should be very, very cautious because Kirk did not look that great the other day, and the defense couldn't really stop a team that only scored 18 points. And the offense was kind of anemic.
I would just say not worried. It's one game. Now, if they go to
that's your answer.
Not worried. It's one game. Now, if they go to Tennessee on Sunday on a short week and they spit the bit again, then I might change my mind a little bit. And keep in mind where the Jet schedule is here, because they go to Tennessee on a short work week, and then they have their home opener on a Thursday night 4 days later. So this is a huge 10-day stretch here for the Jets to try and right the wrong of last night. Go take care of business now and get these 2 wins in the next 10 days, and we'll start feeling better. But last night was definitely not a good start to the season. Plenty more to come here on the show. We still hope that Frank Viola remembers to call in. We'd like to hear from you, 631-451-1039. We'll talk a little bit more about the Yankees and the Mets from last night. We'll let you know about tomorrow's show as well. And it's a big day because it's a Wednesday. And you know what that means. That means Stump the Wiz.
Stump 'em, baby.
We're coming back with more Sports Bash right after this. Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
At Chiropractic Care Plus, Dr. Anthony Ippolito has been helping Long Islanders recover from pain and injuries since 1993. Whether from auto accidents, work injuries, or everyday aches, they use proven methods to get you back to your best. Chiropractic Care Plus is located at 1 John Street, Suite 150 in Babylon, New York. Call 631-669-6221 to schedule your appointment today.
Peter Schwartz, Vinny Tickets, back with you on Sports Bash during our commercial break. Thanks for staying with us on Facebook and YouTube. We're going to be welcoming back our radio audience in just a moment. And great, now we have 2 video commercials for Facebook and YouTube. We got now Dr. Ippolito's got his own commercial. It's outstanding.
He does. And I was actually speaking with some friends that use Dr. Ippolito, and I will tell you, rave reviews. They went in, their back was twisted, they were in pain, and they said he was just amazing. So
we're going to welcome back our radio audience in just a few moments. We've got some more, including This Day in Sports History, coming right back right now. Welcome back to Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. Peter Schwartz along with Vinny Tickets, 631-451-1039. We apologize. I know we promoted Frank Viola, former Mets and Twins pitcher, now the pitching coach at High Point Rockers of the Atlantic League, and he is not called in. So maybe he will check in before the end.
Stuff happens. I mean, these guys get busy.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But I mean, but now I guess that just moves me up the list of most famous graduates of East Meadow High School. So we have to bump, because he didn't call in, we'll bump Frank down a little bit. Chris Angel, the magician, who my wife and I graduated with in the class of 1985. Of course, we know all about Chris Angel and Mind Freak and the amazing show he's got.
What kind of guy was he?
He was weird. And he was weird in high school.
Like when you say weird, that's what everyone says.
I didn't hang out with him. Like, he was not in my clique of friends, but he used to do like a lot of magic tricks in the hallways of school. He would hang out. There was a wall that was like a paddle ball wall out, like a basketball court on the campus, and he would hang out there and do like magical tricks and things like that. But he definitely was weird. I mean, but listen, some people thought I was weird in high school, and I proved them wrong. But maybe I still am. But in any event, but it was strange. He was strange.
Have you been to any of your reunions?
We've been to a reunion. I think he was at the first one. I think he was at the 10-year one. And then obviously he got huge. He didn't. There was another reunion that we went to, Cheryl and me, and he couldn't make it. He sent a cardboard cutout with some Mind Freak giveaways.
How great is that?
Yeah, so he was there. So it was at this restaurant, and we walk in, and we were thinking all day, is Chris Angel going to be here? And we walk in, and there he is, the cardboard cutout. I took a picture with him with the cardboard cutout. But listen, it's nice to have somebody that famous that was part of our graduating class in high school, and everybody always, whenever we see people from that we graduated with, we always talk about him. But yeah, he was, he was not his, he definitely was his own person a lot of times. Very strange, weird. Let's go to the phone line, 631-451-1039. Glenn is in Flushing. Glenn, good morning.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I hope maybe Frankie V will, maybe tomorrow. Who knows?
Well, tomorrow we got another guest, so he's out of luck tomorrow if he wants to call in. So that's too bad.
Yeah. That's too bad.
Yeah, I was looking forward to talking to him, Glenn. I know you're a graduate of East Meadow High School as well, and I know a lot of people on the East Meadow High School Facebook page were looking forward to the interview. And let's see, maybe we'll get him on later in the week.
That would be great. Yeah, they are in for 6 games against the Ducks, because the Ducks have a big playoff race, I see.
And by the way, tomorrow on the show, we're going to have Long Island Ducks manager Lou Ford on the show.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
The Minnesota Twin, too, I think, right?
Yes, he was a Twin. He was an Oriole. So, yeah, we're going to have him as the Ducks fight for a playoff spot. What you got for us this morning?
Well, I'm optimistic about the Mets. It's going to be crazy because, of course, they have the Braves in the last week, where they have a makeup game.
Yeah.
So it's now a 3-game series. I think originally it was a 2-game series. But we have the Phillies next weekend, right? I believe this.
Yes, they do.
For 4 games, yeah. So
I think it's the last homestand.
Nervous, but
the last homestand. And by the way, I don't know, Glenn, if you saw this yesterday, but the Sunday game has been flexed to the ESPN game at night.
Oh, thank you. Oh, wonderful. Oh, yeah, this weekend they're away, right? I believe. Yeah.
They're away this weekend in the middle of the series right now with Toronto.
Yeah,
Glenn, I think the Mets are going to finish higher than the 3rd wild card spot, and I think there's a legitimate chance they get the 1st wild card spot, and they got some home games at Citi Field in the playoffs.
Right, that would be unbelievable because we're only 1.5 behind San Diego, right?
Yeah,
I know. WizKid was saying we're going to get the 1st spot, right? I think he said. Oh no, he was saying the 3rd.
No, he said 3rd spot.
I said 3rd.
He said 3rd spot. I listen. You're a game and a half out with the way that the Mets are playing right now. Why not finish with the 1st wild card spot? I think they can do it.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Going into the year, I believe we all thought maybe they're a playoff team, maybe not. So if they make the playoffs this year, good for the new GM, good for Steve Cohen, and
how about Carlos Mendoza? Hopefully, he gets some votes for National League Manager of the Year.
Yeah, I agree, and of course Lindor. I think you guys discussed.
Well, I think Glenn, if the Mets make the playoffs, and Vinny, I don't know if you were off that day, I think, when we talked about it. If the Mets make the playoffs, first of all, I think Carlos Mendoza deserves a lot of votes for Manager of the Year. But if they make the playoffs, I think Francisco Lindor is your National League MVP.
Wow, that's a big statement.
Yeah, because if the Dodgers, Glenn, and I'm sure you would agree with this, the Dodgers are already a good team without Ohtani. The Mets are not in the playoffs without Lindor.
Yeah, I still think the Ohtani fever will let him win barely.
Yeah.
Lindor will, because they've been great the whole year, and they shouldn't be punished. I mean, believe me, I'd love for Lindor to win, but they shouldn't be punished just because they've been boring the whole year and win. But, yeah, Betts was out. Betts was out for quite a while, but let's go Mets and rest in peace, Eddie Kranepool, Jerry Grody, Buddy Harrelson.
A rough year for the Mets. A rough year for the Mets, and another member of the '69 team that has gone way too soon. But Glenn, thanks a lot for the phone call.
All right, guys, take care. Let's go Mets.
Right, Glenn. Another great phone call from our friend Glenn in Flushing. Let's move on to this day in sports history. Wiz, we got you now.
All right. On this day in 2000, Basketball Hall of Fame head coach Bobby Knight was fired from Indiana University after 29 years following situations with a student. But there was a lot of success during his time in Indiana, 3 championships and over 600 wins to bat. But there was also some controversies as well. We can't forget that. But he did coach around like 7-8 more seasons with Texas Tech, and he went to 5 playoff appearances with them. But either way, still a phenomenal coaching career and still held in very, very high regard in Indiana.
And of course, nobody can ever forget when he threw the chair across the court when he was arguing with the official. Great. One of the most iconic moments in not just college basketball history, but in sports history. And I think that took quite a bit of athletic achievement to be able to do that, to fire that chair across the court like that without hitting anybody.
Now you sound like my wife. We were at the dinner the other night. Perfect example of how to spin something. So someone was talking about a friend, and they said, yeah, she was bomb. She had a lot to drink. And in my typical wife fashion, she says, oh, that's so good for her that she's letting go a little bit. So there you go. Peter takes a chair thrown across a court where someone could have been injured, turns it into a positive.
But nobody did.
I know nobody did.
And I don't think he was going to – I don't think Bobby Knight, may he rest in peace, would have wanted to hit anybody. I just think it took a very good effort by him. Maybe he was a good bowler too, because that chair slid right across the court.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, maybe.
You don't seem to be too impressed by it, though.
No, I was not impressed by a chair toss.
Well, we do recognize the achievements of Bobby Knight as
the true
coach,
achievements
as the coach,
yes,
and not as the person who threw the chair. But he was one of the great characters in the history of college basketball.
Oh, definitely.
And then he was very good as an analyst on TV. I always enjoy listening to him on TV.
Yeah, it's about the full career. And, talking about the chair, I mean, he's around so much in the weight room. I mean, I'm sure he must have pulled up a few dumbbells every once in a while.
I would think so. So we talked a lot about the Mets. We talked a lot about the Jets. How about the Yankees last night, too? Because as we only have a minute or so left on the show, but Austin Wells, this guy has to be the everyday catcher. I don't want to hear lefty-righty anymore. 4 RBIs last night, a 2-run homer, and I loved Jose Trevino. And I came up, when he joined the Yankees, he hit a lot of home runs, played great. It's Austin Wells time now. No more of this lefty-righty stuff.
Nope. You need your catcher is a very key position on any team. And there's something about a catcher that he needs to run the team. And you need consistency back there. And with the numbers this kid is putting up, with the consistency at the plate, Wells has got to be the answer. Get him the reps, get him the at-bats, get us into the playoffs here.
Big show coming up tomorrow. Stump the Wiz. Don't forget to DM your questions to the Sports Bash Media Facebook, X/Twitter, and Instagram pages. If we pick your question, you stump the Wiz tomorrow, you get a great prize. Also, on the show tomorrow, the manager of the Long Island Ducks, Lou Ford. Hopefully he's not hanging out with Frank Viola and he remembers to call in tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that on the show as well. Plus, we'll take more of your phone calls, talk about the Yankees and the Mets tonight. For our entire staff, I'm Peter Schwartz. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll